You're listening to Boot Camp, The Offense, with Stephen Willis and Corey Burton.
Welcome back to Boot Camp, The Offense, with Stephen Willis and Corey Burton. We're going over FAU in 2017 after Lane Kiffin took over an offense in his first year. So a lot of the same stuff you're going to see at Ole Miss when he takes over there. Hopefully that is this fall. Right now, we're going to look at the Wisconsin game, and we're just going to show the timing improvements and what the offense looks like. It's like right now in the Wisconsin game, Daniel Parr is the quarterback. He's more of a passer. He's more of a Matt Corral type as opposed to John Rice Plumlee. So it can give you an idea of what this will look like. I'm sitting here with Corey Burton, and he is the offensive coordinator at Hillwood High School, and he's going to break it all down for us.
Welcome into the Offensive Boot Camp. Thank you, Steve. Yeah. So, this game, I think our last two episodes, you asked me kind of what my biggest takeaway from this game is, and I'll tell you, with this matchup here, you got a huge talent disparity. First of all, you got a top tier Big Ten team going against at this moment, a struggling Conference USA team. So that obviously all changes as the season progresses. But despite this huge talent disparity, they were able to put vertical pressure on the secondary, which is one of the things I was very impressed with as the game wore on. This allowed them this alleviated their run game a little bit. And then, what I really enjoyed also is the fact that FAU didn't panic. Now, a lot of times you get teams in these games and they panic and they get away from their identity. They get away from working on things, and they get away from the overall goal of this game, which I don't think anyone in Madison, I don't think anyone in Boca Raton thought FAU was going to waltz in here and beat Wisconsin. That was probably, they were going to give it their best shot, but that was probably never the goal. So they just wanted to get their timing right, work on their run game, work on their identity, and establish their offensive culture. And work to do that each and every game. And as they do that, it'll settle in and you'll see it later on as the season goes. And even in the second cut up that we'll watch, you'll kind of see their identity and their culture really sink in. And so, the things I really liked was the play action vertical game, and then how they increased the use of motion. They did a lot of good things in this game, and they just couldn't overcome the big talent gap that Wisconsin had.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I picked this, because of the talent gap that Ole Miss is going to face in the first half of the season this year, with Alabama, Auburn, LSU, and Florida all set to appear. So this kind of gives you an idea of what this offense can do when they're outmatched superior.
Mm-hmm. Especially up front. That's where the biggest, because receivers are good everywhere. Skill guys are good everywhere. I mean, Devin Singletary's a stud in the NFL. It's up front is where the biggest gap is. And so here you go.
All right, let's get it started.
Just going to go ahead and establish the run. We got a pretty good run lane there off of zone read action. Again, coming with the run. They're just kind of trying to establish the line of scrimmage. Here's your favorite lane formation. Wisconsin is just overwhelming them right now, which is fine. I really like how FAU is patient early on. They're going to establish everything they're going to do that's going to give Wisconsin fits later on. As you notice here, we talked about it in the last episodes, the stupid splits. Wisconsin is playing those pretty well, about as good as you can play them. They play press coverage on those things to kind of take away the quick game. So,
in a game like this, it's probably hurting them that they do not have their runner at quarterback because their offensive line is struggling so much.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Here's a shot that if you get open passing lanes like that, you can't drop those. But here we go. We're just going to continue to run. And the biggest thing that I see with fans, here's a vertical shot right here. Just patience in the run game, good play action shot. You have these, Steve, I want to talk about the stack formation. When you have press coverage and you have a stacked kind of bunch condensed formation like that, or not really condensed, but just kind of like a stacked or bunch, 2-man stack or 3-man bunch. What I was talking about was a lot of times teams will get in those stacks and then they'll switch the vertical route. What FAU does here is they fake the switch, and it actually confuses the corner. The corner jumps on the number one, and the number one bites him inside and takes off vertical and does a tremendous job of route running there to create a touchdown and a big play.
Yeah, it's also a situation where the tempo of the offense and actually putting pressure on the defense that way affects the decision making a little bit later on down the line, and just missed assignments and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, they do a good job, but the receivers do a great job of coming off the ball and immediately putting vertical pressure on those corners to make them make a decision on, okay, how are we going to sort these routes out? Who's going to take who? But here you see more running, more option in this game. You start to see an increase of that. Here's some short motions that they're using, motions to get in those stack formations. It is really, really good, really clever. A lot of spread stuff. Here's another vertical shot. I mean, they've been hitting a lot of those in this game early on. This one, just a double post, and does a really good job of shielding that guy.
Talk about decision making when it comes to the quarterback position and how that is probably the most important aspect of this offense.
Yes, I mean, decision making, and a lot of it comes pre-snap, and a lot of it comes from before you even step foot on the field with your decision making, because if you kind of get a feel of what they're doing based on the looks that they give, the defense is always going to reveal its cards. And if you do your diligence in film study, you can anticipate those cards a lot better, and you can kind of tell where your concepts are going to, what's going to work, who's going to pop open, things like that. And then also what this quarterback does a really good job of in his run fakes is he does a good job of really selling his run fakes. And that discipline is able to create one-on-one matchups to where all he has to do is put that ball right on the spot and the receiver's there. And trusting that he's going to be there.
And they haven't played particularly well. And at this point, you can tell that they're in this game.
Yeah, they are, and they've given themselves shots that it appears that they're controlling the clock a little bit. They're trying to shorten the game. Their run game is opened up because of play action. Now they're starting to get a little more. We're in the second half now. They're starting to get a little more cushion on those outside screens. They're starting to get some room in the RPO game because of those vertical shots. That's what the vertical shots do. Even if you complete 2 out of 8 on your vertical shots, it just gives you that presence downfield to say, hey, we're not scared to take a shot, and it's going to loosen them up a little bit. You notice they're not pressing as hard now. You notice the cushion that these DBs are giving them because they've gotten burnt a few times over the top.
You talked about the gift route a couple episodes ago and when to take it, and now it's available.
Yeah, now it's starting to become available because that guy's not in his face. Like here on the he could have had an easy go on that perimeter screen there on the RPO. I mean, there's just a lot of things. Here's another vertical shot play. That post route, and there's Lane going, man, I'm upset here that we got a penalty. But as long as FAU doesn't shoot themselves in the foot, they're very much in this game. They're starting to run the ball well. They're starting to, things are starting to click now because being patient in the run game has allowed them to open up other things, and that's key.
Yeah,
more play.
One of those things with actually Rich Rod, where he talks about playing with 11. Right now, they're not playing with 11. They have a true passer in the game, and you can see their offense is quite a bit more dynamic once the runner is putting the offense.
Yeah, because, I mean, the runner can throw a little bit too.
Yeah. And in any offense, and especially this one, you need to be able to throw a little bit. But it's so predicated on the quick game and the screens and these short passes that pretty much anybody can do it.
Yeah, and it creates that third threat to where, again, those stupid splits have meaning. If you can't do anything with the stupid splits, they have no meaning, and they're not going to respect it. Here's another vertical shot. They don't hit it, but it does force Wisconsin to play vertical. Now their third and a mile draw plays a really good call there. Just let your defense go to work. Your defense is obviously holding their own here.
We're coming to the end of this video. Talk about real quick the quick game and why they do the long hitches in the Baylor offense.
The long hitches are meant to. It's almost kind of the Baylor offense is almost kind of designed around the choice route. A lot of those long hitches you'll see are probably choice routes that the cornerback is sitting on the vertical, so they throttle it down and get into a hitch. But they're meant to be deceptive. They're meant to get the cornerbacks to bail. They're meant to kind of diagnose the coverage. Is that cornerback bailing off the snap and getting into his zone, or is he staying with you on the hitch? And that's kind of what they're doing with that. And if you get a team that's going to play a lot of quarters, you get a team that's going to play a lot of cover three, those long hitches are going to be really good. Especially those intermediate zones, with that concept. So that's just kind of why they do that stuff. Is just kind of it's a good easy throw, and it's a good way to diagnose coverage.
All right. Thank you for tuning in to the boot camp, the offense with Stephen Willis and Corey Burton. Tune in to the next episode where we look at the Western Kentucky game and what they're doing in that particular one. As always, subscribe at the Stephen Willis on Twitter. Subscribe at Coach Corey Burton 36 on Twitter.
It's just at Coach Burton 36.
Oh, at Coach Burton.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. And hit the bell and subscribe on YouTube once we move there. It just allows for notifications when we release the video.
Exactly.
So
hit the bell.
Tune in, and we'll talk to you later.